right, I'm pretty sure that we're live. Jason, I think, might have been having some uh, internet problems. I'm not real sure. I'm not sure if anybody else is going to be able to make it. I sort of threw this together last minute. Um, I didn't want to go. Um, I might have some time to think about things. The next few days. So I kind of wanted to get some folks together and talk about it. And I also might not be online. So if I wrote a blog post and then didn't have wasn't, online to answer questions and stuff, then yeah. Oh, so there's Jason back. I was just starting to do, and if you're having audio issues, it might make sense not to turn your video off. Um, it's up to you, but should save on the bandwidth situation. So I'm guessing that was inadvertent. You were trying to say something and you kind of just dropped off mid sentence. So I'm guessing that.
Yeah, yeah, I figured as much. The blog post prior to the announcement of stepping down from global focus on North America,
Yeah,
one of the things that you had talked about was, and actually it wasn't even fully fleshed out. It was just a quick mention, but
yeah.
it's kind of it's kind of a preoccupation with me at the moment.
Okay.
We need to get CC hits going again. It
Yeah,
was thrown it was thrown out there, but the thing of it is, like for me, I was late to CC hits, like mad late.
yeah,
Like by the time I started listening, it was after I started listening to Rhino. I had been listening to the Black Report. I had started listening to Enough Records radio show, but with CC hits, you know, I came after that after I came to the Bugcast. So maybe within like the last, I want to say 2 to 3 months of that being in existence was when I actually
yeah.
started was when I actually started to
All
listen.
right. Yeah,
And you know, if there was going to be any sort of a revival that didn't necessarily have to look and or sound like it did before,
yeah,
but maybe just using it as a springboard going forward, one of the first things I would probably have to listen to is that very last episode where Dave of the Bugcast,
yeah,
possibly Kelly, and one other person were just talking about what it took to get it going
yeah. It was probably
and
John.
what it took to.
I didn't listen to that episode, but it was probably John Spriggs. John Spriggs is that was his baby. So
Okay.
we had Tom and I had John on in 2011, 2012 on Music Monument. So folks that want to sort of hear the beginning of that story might want to go check that out. And then yeah, I saw that they did have a final episode, but I haven't listened to it. But it sounds like maybe I should. Uh,
It's really good history in terms of what it meant to other people and what it took to actually get that whole mechanism going the way that it did to churn out weekly and monthly shows, and why it eventually came to a halt during the last few moments in time where it seemed like there was still some sort of collective sanity on Twitter prior to the Elon of it all.
yeah,
I remember seeing something from Dave off of their Bugcast account, just kind of ranking various platforms in terms of what was good on discoverability and what was good in other areas, and just sort of breaking things down. And we just kind of went into a brief back and forth in terms of pros and cons of things. And it made me realize, you know, what role Dave had played in championing Creative Commons music on a regular basis, and how much attention he could focus at the time that he could towards CC hits in addition to the podcast, and why things ended up getting to a point where they were just like, yeah, I don't know if this can really go the way that we
Yeah.
want it to go
I mean,
anymore.
there's so many points at which history could have been so much different, in the CC world. Like, there was the Association of Music Podcasting, and Tom and I wanted to get involved in that, but the problem is that we were a talk show about music, and you had to have, I want to say it was 50% of your time had to be music in order for it to be.
Mm.
And so, if we had been able to get into the Association of Music Podcasting, I think that, I mean, the biggest thing I think is we'd probably still be going, like, I think that, just like doing it, and that's one of the things that, I've always sort of thought that, like, collectively we had, like, things would be easier than, doing it individually. And, I was trying to get us in Music Monument in a network, and then I tried building our own network, and just, I don't know, we never found the right place, which is a shame, because I think Music Monument meant, I don't want to like over like I don't want to make it sound like we were saving the world or anything. I mean, I want to say it meant a lot to a lot of people, but I think people saw some value out of Music Monument, and uh, it's a shame we weren't able to, like, realize the vision and grow there. Um, yeah. So I don't know. Like, I mean, I think I got frustrated because I kind of felt like we plateaued. And I don't know how much of that was like other things that were going on in CC Music, and um, but yeah, that was pretty disappointing to not be able to get in to the music podcasting folks. So,
Mm.
um, but yeah, Dave was big on that, and big in that community, and yeah, they have a nice little like podcast community in the UK. They do like pod crawls and stuff like that. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, um, hey William, are you able to see the chat from before you join? I think you can. Different platforms do things differently as far as that is concerned. Can't hear you. I can see your lips moving, but no audio. In any case, I dropped. We were talking about CC hits, and I dropped a link to the interview that Tom and I did with John back in June of 2012. So, um, oh, that was actually the second time John was on. So, according to this, we check in again. So we must have talked to him before. I think one time we talked about. Oh yeah, no, that's the. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, we talked to him in 2011 as well. So I guess listen to both of those. I'll drop this one in there too. Yeah, I had remembered at
Nice.
one point we were talking about West Ham. I think his I want to say John's dad was a West Ham fan, or he had some sort of West Ham connection. Um, but I can't remember what that was 14 years ago now. Over 14 years. It was February of 2011, so February 6th.
Is that
So
better?
yes, can hear you now.
All right.
Culture war in the building.
Yeah, I guess I could have shared that on the screen too. I didn't think about that, but
Somehow I had this in my mind that this was tomorrow.
yeah. Uh, well, I will. Well, I mean, they have the internet in Mexico, so it wouldn't be impossible. But I'll be in Mexico
You're in
at this
Mexico
time.
tomorrow?
Yeah, by this time tomorrow I will be. So
John Spriggs. Okay.
yeah. So um,
I see
yeah.
the link. I see the link. Yeah.
So I guess we got a. I don't know what platform. It's been a while since I've used DreamHost or anything like that. I don't know if anybody has like
So,
a preferred platform.
okay. Yeah, I do. I mean, so DigitalOcean.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've done websites, but I am not a Git. So I'm trying to figure out Git
Yeah.
right now and all that stuff. But I really want to do all this stuff the right way. Um, so I copied over some of the repositories that other people have done, and
Yeah.
if you've seen what I've done there. So I was trying to use that more, and I don't know. I thought it would be pretty useful, but I'm still trying to figure it out. There's a way to get the stuff over onto DigitalOcean. That's pretty easy, apparently. So I was going to try to do that and see where we go from there. So
Is
that's what I
this
use for my current website. Go ahead. But
is this a
yeah,
logo that you designed there?
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's just an idea, but
Um,
um, so just. And then I also wanted to put on the front page, what is it? Music should be shareable.
sure.
I thought that was kind of a good concept, but anyway.
Cool. Yeah. So these are the forks. So I don't know what that one I think is a fork of Mastodon. So I don't know what this one is a fork
Yeah,
of.
they're both. So
Okay.
hold on,
Join Mastodon.
let me pull this up.
Okay. So the NetLabel one, did you just delete that repo or?
Was there a NetLabel one?
I thought you had pulled NetLabel guide in, or was that
I
just a
don't.
discussion
That was
about the?
just a discussion,
Oh, okay.
but that's what I want to do too. So would Mike be okay with? I. I mean, the whole question is like, are we recreating some things that exist? Are we trying to like merge some things that exist?
Well, I personally, I would like it if we did do some of this stuff collectively, like NetLabel Guide was moved
Right.
into Friends of CC Music, and like NetLabel Day. That's another one that I think would be better run collectively.
I
But like Mike owns the URL for NetLabel Guide, and Omar owns the URL for NetLabel Day. So
So that was I have not done it yet, so I'm not sure what the details would all work out to be. But
yeah,
if we put them as repositories on GitHub, and then we do them as separate, I forgot what DigitalOcean calls it, basically like containers, kind of a Docker thing, I
yeah,
think. And then we would just have them as possibly like kind of subdomains of Friends of CC Music.
yeah.
And then go from there. And the question that I was trying to figure out is how do what's the best way to make those things as open to other people, modifying it as we can? So, like, I was trying to figure out how the um, net label guide thing works. So it's not a
Yeah.
spreadsheet. It's a is it a JSON or something? I don't know.
Yeah. So this is one of the things that I don't like about this is that the JSON is kind of I hate it.
Oh, okay.
So
Thought it was
uh,
the answer. All right, I didn't know.
so I mean that's just the me thing, I guess. Uh, it looks all pretty on here in
Hmm.
Git, but like if you just like download it, it's a load of garbage. Like just
Okay.
it's fine. And like I don't know. I don't actually know how they like edit it. I mean, one thing that we could do is if we pulled this list in, we could make the edits there, and then if people like you know mess it up, yeah. So you must be signed in to make or propose changes, yeah. So I mean, the forking stuff is actually not. I don't think it's that complicated, but if I was signed in, then you can just do direct edits and in the page, and you don't have to pull it down. And
Okay.
um, but I think the list gets kind of long. I don't know how if it's like if there's any order to how they're putting things in here. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it maybe the app organized it. You just put random. I don't.
yeah. John, so what's our so so we got our list description. Okay, that's the copyright for the whole thing. So I guess this is the beginning of the net labels tag, and then everything after that, I guess, is a net label. So it's got, yeah. I see. This is like, why is label name? I feel like net label name should be like the very first entry, but I guess at least it's consistent.
Right.
Yeah. So it's just like lists, and just the URLs are first for some reason. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but whatever. And then they just go, yeah, they go all the way to the end. Looks like maybe the inactive stuff is at the end. Um, yeah, a bunch of inactive stuff at the end. So, um, but yeah, it would be easy enough for us to like have people edit it on our repo, and then we could push it back. Um, I mean, if I don't know how quick this thing is to be updated. And I also don't know how like how often are new labels coming out and going inactive. Like how much editing does this need? I don't really know the answer to that
Right.
either. But um, yeah,
Well, I mean, like, I mean, what are the there's a lot of other things out there too, and I don't know how they handle their stuff. What was the one we just found? The sorting of the Bandcamp thing.
you mean the
Uh,
BC.
BC. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where their stuff is off the top of my head. What is it? It's BC BYNC. I may never have been there in this browser. Oh yeah, but then it's like I haven't got it in Firefox, so I'll be able to find it. Yeah, oh yeah, there's no dashes. Okay. All right. So yeah, I don't see a. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you could just send them an email and
Yeah, yeah. No, I think I talked to him on Metaverse.
yeah. I mean, it might be good to just put that code on there, even if they don't want to like manage like a Git repo. We could put it out there, and then people could build their own shit with it potentially.
Right. So, right. So what I pulled from Mastodon is like they have their main page thing, which if you go to joinmastodon.org, I just think that's so pretty. And I just thinking like how that would apply to what we're doing. And it's all totally open source.
Mastodon. Maybe. There we go. Yeah.
So if you see that, you just have like the logo in the top left. Obviously, that's where I thought of my logo too. Where you have the, I don't know if Jason saw that, but so it's just a
Looking at it
lock.
right now, actually.
Okay, so it's just a lock with a note in the middle, as kind of the keyhole. However we would end up doing that, but and then just have Friends of CC Music next to that. That would be kind of the logo. And we have all the drop downs. I don't know. Music should be shareable right in the middle there. I'm not sure exactly where those links would go to for the joinmastodon.org equivalent. And then we have all these different things like, to focus on. And then I don't know about, we could even have artists or musicians or whatever, what musicians are saying or whatever, why CC Music. I don't know, lots of different things. And then of course the footer down there too. So I don't know. I just think there's so much very much we could do with that.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have a SVG for the
No,
logo? Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing. I just do little
Yeah.
shit.
I was just thinking if you whatever files you've got, if you want to put them on
Okay.
in the Git, and then
Yeah.
Mike might be able to. No, Mike said he was
Yeah.
down for making a logo. So,
Okay.
so that.
And I can tag him in that too or something. I saw that you can like tag people.
You mean just like in a post or in?
I thought there was like you saw the discussion section, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that was okay to do too. I hope you're cool with that.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't used GitHub discussions very much personally,
Okay.
but that doesn't.
I haven't either.
That doesn't mean we can't
Just looked
do
convenient.
it. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I think what happens sometimes with places that do that have discussions is that like it gets confusing about whether or not like a discussion is happening on the issues page or
Okay.
like in discussions. But I mean, it kind of makes sense because I mean the issues really should be like per repo.
Okay.
And then the discussion is like overall.
The weird thing with the discussions though, it has to be tied to a repo.
Okay.
So that kind of confuses things, but it lives outside. I mean, you can have the discussions lives at the level of the org.
Yeah.
So I thought that was, that's exactly what you just said though.
So it has to be tied to a repo.
I think so.
I think it has to be tied to a category.
Okay. Let's see if I can drop this here. Oh, okay, I can. Paste drop.
We should say too that like, I know some people like GitLab better than GitHub, and there's other ones too.
Right. Codeberg.
Yeah, but it's easy, all this stuff is under some sort of license. Although I don't know. I don't know if for the web page what's our licensing situation here. I don't see a license.
There it is. Pops right up. Cool. Okay.
What pops right up?
His name. So you just hit.
Oh,
if you're
yeah.
inside the body of the
Yeah.
idea, yeah.
So the Join Mastodon page, I don't see a license for it. I mean, you would think it would be some sort of open source license, but I don't see one.
Okay.
Maybe there's something like buried in here somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. And same thing with the blog. Let's see. So I don't know if you know anybody that's worked on those sites, but
No.
might want to check and see if they've got that listed somewhere or what the deal with that is. But yeah, I mean, as far as the yeah, so this first one I just created like just to have for issue tracking, but you know, and this was like under the like old name. This was just sort of like to get us somewhere, but you know, we could just delete this if we think it's confusing or whatever.
Yeah, I tried to migrate those over. I'm not sure I got to all of them. Kind of recreate them.
But yeah, in any case, certainly the CC0 stuff people can mirror wherever necessary. So yeah. And then yeah, the net label guide, Mike's building that off of there. So
off of GitHub, is that what you're saying?
yeah.
Okay.
He's so I mean, you know, right now he's tying it back to the Black Sonic. So, you know, basically,
Right.
you know, I mean, and that's not to say too that like if we wanted to build something off of that, we could take bits and pieces of it. You know, so I need to talk to the folks over at Music Libre because I think Music Libre might just be like, you know, they're kind of already doing Friends of CC Music France. Okay. That's kind of what they are. So, you know, if they would just be like, oh yeah, we'll be like the contact people if people want to do something in France, that would be a good thing for them to like, you know, expect those people. So I should talk to them about that at some point. And Mike's got them. I mean, they are separate in some sense, I guess, but I mean, you know, affiliated.
And did you see my message about the Matrix group thing?
Probably not.
Okay. I was just saying that maybe we should change the name on the Matrix group and change the logo.
Oh yeah, are you are you
Or make me an
admin
admin.
or
I don't think I am,
okay?
but
I can I can
I'm kind of
change
like
that.
inspired to like get Matrix going, but like in general, not our group there specifically, but um,
Yeah.
I'm trying. I got couple of my friends to join, but
All right. Let's see what
like
I can do here.
we should all be encrypted today. You know, you don't have to say why.
Uh,
You on Matrix yet, Jason?
I am not. I
Oh,
am. Yeah, you gotta get me hip, man.
okay.
I'm green to so much of this stuff.
All right.
I'm so green. But I do have to say, I mean, as I lean a bit more, trying to strip myself out of the metaverse to embrace the Fediverse
Yeah.
more, you know, I have to say, Mastodon is probably the only place right now for me that does not feel like social media scorched earth.
Yeah.
I log in, logging into Facebook now just feels like you're signing up for you're you're signing up for an obligatory doom scroll whether you want to or not.
Yeah. There's so much
And
AI shit on there.
it's kind of nuts. I mean, obviously there's no need for me to there's really no need for my presence to be on X now because it's
Hmm.
never going to go back to what it used to be within these days and times.
Right.
And the more that I hang out on Mastodon, even though it's something that I'm still very much trying to wrap my head around, only because there are developers there who are doing some incredible things that I'm technically trying to understand, but it still feels like a place where I can learn and a place where I need to be, particularly in terms of what's happening with the indie music ecosystem that's
Mm,
growing there. It
yeah.
just makes entirely too much sense. As of this week, supposedly there are 2,023 songs playing within Indie Beat Radio
Mm,
in regards to its connection with bandwagon.fm.
right.
And I'm probably not the only person that's wondering what percentage of songs are there that are under a CC license.
Right.
Because I know it's a mix
Yep.
between the stuff that's on the copyright and the stuff that's on the copy left. And I'm wondering what mixture of stuff that is. And for those who are building things, what sort of lessons are they learning, and hopefully firsthand from those who were involved with Radio Free Fetty?
Hmm.
Because I came late to that too.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You
that
know,
was the
by
whole
the
thing. Is like,
and by the
yeah.
by
Go
the time by the time that I heard about it, it was January and it was done and it was going dark or
ahead.
just about to go dark. But I think that there are some valuable lessons there that other other entities that are about this artistic agency life and this music championing life, hopefully they're siphoning some of these very important uh, lessons that Radio Free Fetty gave us, that it is possible. It's going to take a while to grow, probably longer than we all would like, but I think I think it's a road worth traveling down.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
it's. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I didn't want to interrupt Jason, but before we get too far, I just want to clarify something. I was hoping they had this on here. So, copyleft refers to something very specific.
Hmm.
And the only copyleft license, well, there might actually be some debate about it, but I think by the original definition at least, the only CC license that's copyleft is CC BY SA. So
Aha.
the BY license is what would be called permissive rather than copyleft. So those are sort of the two sides, copyleft and permissive. Um, and then all the other stuff is kind of doesn't really fit in a very good box, which is why we had some discussion on the 25th about what is sort of our like term. We say Creative Commons, and I think shareable is like the word that definitionally makes the most sense. A lot of people didn't like that. I'm not entirely sure I understood the problems with that, but nonetheless, there was some pushback about that. I mean, I guess just to sort of continue my my thought, there is an argument. I think that BYNCSA, basically the two SA licenses, are copyleft. The reason why that traditionally you wouldn't have called BYNCSA copyleft is because it's not a free culture license because of the NC. So it's kind of like, do we want to make up another term, or do we kind of have like, shareable copyleft and free culture copyleft, and like two different types of copyleft? To me, that sort of like makes the most sense. But
Yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
love shareable. I don't know how we overcome some of that, but like that, I mean, all these different little things to talk about. You know, the Indie Beat gets over it because they now have a section on Bandwagon where you're giving the right, or this is how they say they're getting over it. At least I don't know what the legal thing is on it. But they say they're giving the right to the Indie Beat to play any, when they check the box on Bandwagon,
Yep.
when they upload it to Bandwagon, give them the right there. That was always my question with Radio Fetty, was that it was, I forgot how it was, but basically you were doing the same kind of thing with Radio Fetty, saying you could have it. And most of the stuff, I think, in a lot of both of those places is CC, but it's unclear. And to me, I want to, say we're kind of a piece, we're an important piece of the puzzle, but not everybody sees it that way. And I don't know how we play in that world and help that
Yeah.
world come together, but
Right.
also kind of like wedge a little bit, be like, yeah, we like the idea of giving somebody the right to play your music, but we also kind of like the idea that the next person, right, can also play the music without
yeah,
having. And to me that's the big distinction. But and I and to me, you're getting music, you're building your original music off of something. Everything's a remix kind of thing. So that to me is like, it's all really part of the community to do something CC, and not just I give them the right. I give this one thing the right. But yeah, there's amazing, cool things coming together. I don't know if you must, Jason. I know Love a Brother Radio. Um, they're all over the place on this stuff. They're another big player in that, and they use the streaming. I've mentioned to you guys before, but the streaming software for the video stuff. Damn it! What the hell is
OBS.
the name of it?
yeah. OBS is
No,
for
the
streaming
other
audio.
one. The thing I think OBS can tie into, though, the
Hmm.
damn it, the broadcast tool. I'm not pulling it up in my head. It's what TIBR uses it too. NDB. Two different browsers where I've done stuff and I haven't done stuff. ND.
I followed Brother Radio. I need to learn more about them.
Yeah, they're. I thought they were like constantly on, but maybe not all the time. But they've got they got a nice site. There's the Soma FM stuff going on. There's a lot of cool, and like I was thinking about the whole Radio Fetty stuff. I wonder if so much of this stuff kind of fails because we haven't pulled the community together, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of people I think feel like they're on their own to kind of figure it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I mean
I mean,
that's one of the big problems
yeah,
we need to try to solve.
Right.
there was a lot of talk in one article from We Distribute in terms of the rise and fall of Radio
Right.
Free Fetty, talking about the people who really did feel like, they were completely and totally stretched out.
Right.
So yeah, that is a real concern.
Owncast. That's the thing I was trying to reference before.
Aha. Okay.
So, so like IndieBeat uses that, I think, to do some streaming. I don't know what their background on that. I use Azuracast. So there's a lot of these interesting players and trying to pull it all together. And I don't know, I'm always worried stepping on toes too. Like,
Well,
I don't want to say, I love that IndieBeat exists. I just don't want it to be the dominant player. I love what Bandwagon is doing because specifically the way they're doing it is that it's there's a WordPress.org version of what they're doing too that other people are going to be able to run. So it's always trying to make sure we're as open as possible, and everybody's trying to build the collective more than dominate. But
Where
there was
IndieBeat,
yeah, go ahead.
where IndieBeat and Bandwagon are concerned, it's still early. And even with this alliance that they have together with just the mere click or of a checkbox, that's still really, really early. 5 years from now, the whole landscape could change in terms of who are the players that are still here, still doing it. There are a whole bunch of fair music platforms that we can look at, and one of the preoccupations mentally for me within the last week is who's still going to be here 5 years from now. Is Subvert still going to be here? Is Mirlo still going to be here? Funk Whale, Fair Camp, all of it. Like, who are the ones who are going to be able to figure out how to be sustainable and how to give both artists, the music makers, and the music lovers what it is that they want in terms of making sure that people can support the heads that they want to support through the platform that they want to do it. And if there is, in fact, a way to get everybody to play nice with each other, which may very well be the harder discussion to have in terms of how that happens, because it is going to take a community. And if the fair music platforms within the Fediverse are scattered in the same way that the Creative Commons music community has been, it's going to leave for a lot of people who feel like they're doing what they can for a passion project, but are stressed out or stretched to their limits and not really sure of how much they can give.
Right.
So I think the next couple of years are really going to be about figuring out like how to make the connections between each other so you really can have a sonic global village where everyone can get what they want. I keep wondering how some of this stuff gets recreated that I used to be involved in when I was podcasting, like a PodSafe Music Network or an Indie Promo Net, where you were downloading cuts and reporting back to artists, reporting back to promo folks, reporting back to indie music labels who wanted to play in the podcasting space, letting them know who you represented for, what songs you represented for, which shows, when shows got uploaded to the internet. And that's why I'm hanging out on Mastodon, because it feels like a part of that's coming back, and in a very real and organic way. And so hopefully, these are things that we can speak towards and interact with what we're doing, because I do want to, because I am kind of wondering like how we're able to get down with this movement. and not be too far removed with what it is that we want to represent for within a Creative Commons licensed context.
Yeah, it's like when you say with the movement, and it feels to me, it feels like that. It feels like the energy behind ActivityPub and the energy behind whatever this music thing that's happening is. It's this. There's the same energy. It's like I'm almost scared to like. I want to come up with a name for it because I want it to make sense and I want everybody to talk about it. But as soon as you do that, then it has to break away because somebody has to say, well, not exactly into this part of that, and I'm not into that part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's something there with all of it. To me, it's anti-corporate. I don't really have. There was a. I don't know if you saw it. There was a. I'll find the post, but there was a guy posting about punk. That if you're punk, you should have a Fediverse server or something, or you should be involved in that.
Yeah.
And I shared that. I thought it was great. Some differences, whatever. But I said to him, I mentioned about CC, and he said, punks have been doing CC forever, but we don't, fuck the law or something like that. So I was like, okay, I'll leave it there. I'm not gonna say, people come with that energy. I'm like, okay, all right, I know where we're going. So
Yeah, that one did feel like a manifesto. I sent that to myself because
okay.
I felt like there were a number of things that I could learn from it,
Yeah.
just in terms of Mastodon and the Fediverse at large, how all of these decentralized spaces make up a particular network. And considering that I'm so green in all of this, I was just like, okay, yeah, this is like my Fediverse 101. This is where I start understanding how certain platforms are alternatives to things that we've been playing with for the last couple of years, and they were great until they weren't.
Right.
And now everybody's kind of scattering, trying to figure out where to go. And even though a space like Blue Sky has gotten a lot of play and a lot of a lot of eyeballs and a lot of people signing on, how that ain't the same thing.
Right.
And why a distinct, and why a and why various different differentiations need to be made when you talk about a space like that.
Right.
So all of
And
those
how I
things are
fail
helping
to
me to
be
learn.
nice enough to them while also trying to encourage what I think is a better option. But
Right. Yeah.
um,
Hmm.
but yeah, like so. What was the one I was talking about before? The Funk Whale. So it's like it'd be really nice if like the Funk Whale streaming stuff worked with like a future bandwagon streaming thing, and like
Yeah.
some of
Yeah.
these technology. I hope they would want to work together. But you could have just one app, and you could stream from both of those, and you could also, have a nice radio player, built into it too, for the streaming radio stuff, the independent radio stuff. But, and I had a guy Scrabble or something. I was thinking I needed to tell you, Doug, about him. He was doing something. I was like, yeah, Scrabbling. I used to do that. Doug still does. But
Yeah. I feel like there's a
Scrabble Radio. He's on
yeah.
Blue Sky now, but
That reminds me, I need to file an issue with Web Scrubbler because when Mike redid the Block Sonic page, it broke scrabbling from the page. For anybody that is not familiar with scrabbling, so this originally was Last FM, and then Last FM got bought by CBS. I mean, this was like, I don't even know. We're probably pushing like a decade and a half, like easily, for when they got bought by CBS. But then there's Libre.fm got started. Um,
So
so
that's
but
open source or?
yeah, I
Oh,
don't
it is.
know.
Okay.
I'm guessing that it's AGPL because it came out about the time that AGPL was the hot new thing. Um,
Why do I think that
yeah,
Last
AGPL.
FM maybe it was just active at the same time? But did you guys ever mess around with the you remember where Netflix first was with DVDs in the mail?
Yeah,
There
for
Yes,
was
sure.
a
sir.
there was a CDs in the mail thing.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was
there were
that was piracy right there.
I
That's
mean, there
straight
were
up
things
piracy.
where you could buy CDs. You know, Columbia House. I did
No,
Columbia House back
this was you
when I
send
was in
back.
like middle
Yeah,
school. I
this
was like,
was
man, Columbia House, this is dope as hell.
this
Hell
was you
yeah.
send on to the next person.
Uh,
But,
but anyway, yeah. So if you got a player, so I have it in my browsers, and then you can get it on, VLC or whatever, I've got on my phone, and so there's a lot of different, it just. So this morning I was listening to some music before my bike ride, um, and it doesn't handle like pausing podcasts very well. So
Hmm.
I don't scrabble my podcasts, or they get,
oh,
because I can't remember what the time limit is, but yeah, it would get like re-scrabbled. Or maybe pausing is fine, but then if you like pause it to listen to like a different podcast, then like it has no like history. Like if you
so you
listen
run
to,
a separate Scrabbling app that
well,
listens to your other apps,
so I
or
did have a separate podcasting account, um for scrabbling podcasts for a while. I did do that,
okay,
but I did that for like work, like because we had some new guys, and I thought it might be useful for them to like, so like we support like 400 different products. So like it doesn't matter if you're like, hiring like Linus Torvalds. Like there's literally no one in the world who's going to step into this position and not just have to learn like a shit ton of stuff, because the person that knows all this, like none of us even know all this stuff. Like
right?
that's just, you can't know that much.
You
You can't
know
be an
100. You
expert at
don't
that many
know.
stuff. So so I was like, oh, this might be useful for them to know the kind of stuff that I'm listening to. But like, the short answer was I don't think it was. But I did have that account for a while. um, but yeah, you can scrabble all sorts of stuff. You can scrabble your YouTube. You can do whatever. Um, the I don't know that there's any reason for us to like bring this back, but maybe if we wanted to like, have an instance just for like, we don't really have like a membership plan, but it's something to
Right.
potentially think about. We could fire something up, and then we'd have like a place where people could see what they're listening to. But I'm not in any huge hurry to go, but we're kind of getting towards the
Sure.
hour.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
so I'm thinking, maybe we could just, I don't know. So I picked this time because I thought my wife was going to be out watching a movie, but turns out she moved it to later. But um, we could go back to the 2 o'clock time, next week. That's what, or it's going to be 3 o'clock, I guess, for you, Jason. I don't know if that's a better time, or if this time is good, or I don't know.
Either one works for me. I mean, 3 o'clock for me on a Saturday is, my time is pretty prime. I'm good. I'm good with that time.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah, we can just go back to the standard then. I mean, I think next week we didn't really talk about the sort of the nuts and bolts of like getting like a North American operation set up and what that would mean and stuff. So I think at some point we need to sort of like figure that piece out.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. I need to like go grab something to eat or something if we're gonna keep
Okay,
going.
no,
But
we're good. We're good.
yeah.
We can close it
So
out.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
I mean, we can keep the three questions that you asked in the last blog post. What to do with the website, what to do with CCCMA, and
yeah.
what to do with Net Label Week events. And quite frankly, an hour can be spent on just one of those questions.
Yeah, well, that's like, yeah. So I mean, we can start with those. That's not a bad idea at all. I mean, I think
Yeah.
at some point we really need to like we need and um this may be this may be a topic for next week, but at some point we need to sort of have, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a whole day, but we need to have like I the January 5th thing I think was just is too big of a topic for people to wrap their heads around. But I think maybe if we try it again in some fashion with thinking about what can we do in North America, that we might have a little more, um, you know, a little more plaster on the walls for that. A
Mm.
little bit more there for people to think about. I don't know if that was the impression that you guys got, that it was just kind of like a big topic to tackle but it just kind of seemed like nobody really wanted to make any decisions. And I think we can sort of get around that by making the scope smaller. Does that make sense?
It does for me.
Okay.
Where the Constitutional Convention was concerned, I can honestly say that a very easy way to make my eyes glaze over is to expect me to talk about the Articles of Federation. My scope is, my scope is, I don't pretend to be any more than what I am, which is a selector. And I'm willing to dive headfirst into Creative Commons, knowing that it's one of the final frontiers for us when it comes to being able to play the music that we want to play, be able to give attribution back to the labels and the artists and the collectives that want to be, represented in that way. At a time where it's much more okay to talk about music than it is to share it. And meanwhile we play in a space where things are shareable. But that's what encompasses my head. The moment that you start talking about bylaws, I'm like, you don't need me for that. You need a lawyer.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest question, and maybe then we need to just make this by itself, a situation. Like we need to figure out, like, if we want to be a trade organization, if we want to be, a charitable organization. There's, like that's like a foundational question, because like,
Hmm.
if we decide we want to be a trade organization, but then we're instantly putting off everyone who is like doesn't want to like sell their music. Like music is a gift from God sort of people. And like if you listen to the interview, and I know you did, Jason, that I did with Jessica, like her brother is
Hmm.
one of those people. Like they don't want
Hmm.
anything to do with. And it's funny because like a lot of those people are the people that put the non-commercial tags on their CC music, and it's like, well, like you're telling everyone they can't do any, like the people that want to just like, you know make it and like into their own music and stuff, like they're not necessarily trying to like, you know those are the same thing. Like we don't have a
Hmm.
license that says you can't just put this on a CD and sell it. Like
Right.
maybe we need that license. Like it's free if you're actually building something off of it, but if you're doing stupid commercial crap, then I mean maybe we need that
Right.
license. That was one thing that um I wrote. You guys haven't seen this email, but I wrote Nicholas and Monk both about doing some region stuff, and one of the things that I put in there. I didn't send it to you guys because you guys kind of already have roles, so I don't know that like doubling down on things really makes a lot of sense. But
Mm.
um, like I some of the I put in there some of the things that like I was thinking that we could do, as an organization. I should probably pull this up before I ramble too far. Uh, sent items. I haven't heard back from Nicholas yet, but uh, I don't even remember what I was saying now that I've got this pulled up. What was I saying?
Nicholas,
Yeah, before that.
we're talking about don't do stupid shit with my music.
Oh, yes,
Nah.
yes. Okay.
Okay.
So one of the things that I mentioned in there is like people, there are some real concerns about what I'll refer to as Gen AI, because
Mm.
just calling things AI is kind of silly. AI has been around since the 1950s. No one knows what you're talking about if you just say AI. But there are some real concerns with Gen AI, and we don't. Creative Commons doesn't have a license. I mean, I guess there's potentially the non-commercial, but then what if you're
Yeah.
doing non-commercial AI stuff? Then it's not, it would still not be covered. So, and maybe people would be okay with that. Actually, I mean, I don't know, but there is some opportunity to maybe, I mean, CC hasn't come out with any new licenses in a while. CC 4.0 came out 11 years ago. I mean, I think it might have been later in the year, but basically, I mean, it was 2014. So, um, and one of the things that we can talk about this more next week, but um, one of the things that, at least until we get somebody who is going to take over the global stuff, I do think like CCHQ is based here, so I think we probably do bear some responsibility. Let's say that we end up getting Friends of CC Music China and Friends of CC Music Russia and Friends of CC Music France and Brazil and Mexico, whatever. Um, we probably do bear some responsibility for interacting with CCHQ, because they're kind of in our zone. Um, so that's something we should think about. What do we, you know,
What would you want?
do we have legitimate things we want to take to them? I mean, we have a couple of paths, and I don't know that like the paths, maybe they can zag back and forth a little bit, but we kind of have a path where um, CCHQ has kind of abandoned us, and we just kind of forget they exist. I mean, that is a path that we could take. And then there's a path where um, you know, maybe it's a two-way street, like maybe like CCHQ kind of felt like they were doing a lot for music, and then they kind of didn't get a lot in return. I don't really know how all that discussion went. It's clear they went away, but maybe if we decide like, hey, we want to get involved, maybe we could get some more interaction from them. So um, I don't know how much energy we want to put into that. Again, I think that's a bigger conversation. And obviously, they've put, you know, a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths for Not just sort of like abandoning us, but like very specific actions against, you know, the CCCMA and against CC Mixter. So, um,
Mm.
you know, there's definitely some bad blood there, but uh, yeah, and I don't know enough about the CC Mixer situation, but it was bad enough that CC Mixer changed their names. So, you know, they didn't want to be associated with them anymore. So, you know,
Wow.
there's that. So, um, yeah, but you know, and I think CC Mixer is another topic. I think they need some help, but I think they're like technically like with their website and stuff, but like I think they've got a great community, and we gotta figure out some way to like get them involved.
Mm.
So that's gonna be a big
Where does that
project.
community live? Do you know? Is there a thing?
I mean, there's a forum on
There's a
ccmixter.org.
forum.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I think that's pretty much. I know they're doing like YouTube meetups now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I don't know how new that is, but I think it's reasonably new. But yeah, then I'll drop the forum link in there. So, I mean, that was one of the things, you know, like
Huh.
maybe we just kind of take over their like off topic. I mean, this is one of the things I don't, you know,
Interesting.
I
Offbeat team?
yeah, then yeah, so it's got offbeats and then they've got the big OT, the big off topic. Like maybe that's just our
Oh,
forum and then like we're just pointing people to CC Mixter. Um
okay.
and you know like driving traffic there and stuff, and you know then they're looking at our stuff. I don't know. I think it's an idea. I mean, if we put too much there, I suppose that could be annoying, but um, you know, it'll send a lot of people to the site and they'll be like, Jesus, the site looks like it was built in 2008. And I was like, well, that's because it was built in 2008. So, yeah, so maybe we should
Give them
help.
credit for that. No,
Maybe
but
we
yeah.
should help them out. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I can't. I feel like some people have like looked at their code and just been like, yeah, I don't want to deal with this. So that's one thing that I'd really like to do at some point. But yeah, there's a lot of things. So
Yeah.
um, oh yeah, I'm looking at this and it's on like the wrong screen. So I guess I can pull it up here so people can see what it is. So yeah, it's looked like this for a really long time. So, I mean, and like that's fine. You know, people don't always like it when things move around on a site, but my suspicion is that like the code is maybe not as efficient as it could be, and you know, I don't know how like often it's getting like security updates and things like that. So,
Mm.
um, I think, I mean, maybe all that's fine. I don't know, but I think there probably are some concerns about that. So the mix versation. So yeah, I guess this is stuff. These are just the mixes. Um,
Which part? The music?
yeah, this is just like you know, I guess conversations about like the music and like the comments
Oh,
on
the
the
mixed
on the
versation.
tracks. Yeah, yeah. So
Oh, okay.
just it's new, so that's why I clicked on it. So,
Great.
um, but yeah, I mean, I think there's if we're trying to have a community of people that remix
Right.
and reuse and stuff, they seem like kind of a no brainer to
It's
get
true.
involved with their stuff. So, um, cool. All right. Well, I did send that invite, right? No, I did not. Okay, so I will go ahead and do that. Um, and then yeah, we can talk about those things next week. And then I think another thing,
Most reviewed tracks too. Sorry. Okay.
yeah, one of the things that we need to figure out um, is the July 12th stuff. So we don't have a lot of time, but I think we have enough time for that at this point. But we need to kind of get started on that.
Yeah.
So my idea with the Cinco de Mayo stuff was like that would be sort of like our next like constitutional convention type thing for anything that we didn't get solved. So um, we could still do that, or I don't know. There's just so many. There's so much to do. So yeah,
We don't have to get it all done, you know, right away. Doesn't all have to be us. It's
well, I mean, I think
okay.
I think the problem, the problem that we have had is we haven't had anything for people to like latch onto and want to be involved in. So
Yeah, but
like,
I get that. I, we're slowly figuring it out. I think that's okay. I, it's been dormant. It had been dormant for a couple of years, and anything we're doing is in the positive direction. And I think we're still. I think everything is on the up, not declining. So I think that's okay.
Sometimes it's just a matter of figuring out the thing to jump into where you believe you fit in. And if there is a particular topic that seems to pull on your brain and your heart more than other things, that may very well be the thing that you need to focus your attention on.
yeah,
Speaking as someone who's on the other side of 50, I very much have to make very important decisions about where I can honestly focus my time, my talent, and my treasure.
yeah. I guess what I'm saying is right now I feel like we're not presenting compelling options for people to latch onto. That's
Sure.
kind of where I'm
Yeah.
at. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, and I don't I don't know I don't know how to empower people. Although I told William about the tech stuff. I was like, look, just do whatever Elon would do. Just make it happen. Just no Nazi signs, but just don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks. Just make it happen. So I don't know if I need to just go around telling everybody, because like all of a sudden,
you guys
like
are all fired, okay?
all of a sudden
you guys
William
are all
was
fired.
like super fucking productive. So maybe I just need to be like, like they used to have the Gatorade commercials, be like Mike. I just need to be like Elon. Like, and like all of a sudden we're gonna have like massive productivity. So I don't know. But yeah.
Right.
Hey, that's one way.
Yeah. So many stupid shit coming into my head. I'm not gonna fucking say it.
Yeah. Well, it's like whatever. Yeah, we're just gonna leave that. But yeah. So I mean, I think we need. Yeah, I think you guys are both on the right path, but we need to communicate to people that like,
Yeah.
it's if you've got something and you want to do it, just make it happen. So and I guess the important thing is like if you don't tell me, because I guess I'm in charge, if you don't tell me what the roadblocks are, then I can't help unblock them. So so like if you're watching this and you're like, well, I haven't been coming because I work on Saturdays or whatever that is. Like, well, one thing is like I was trying to do like working sessions on weeknights and nobody was showing up for those. And I kind of stopped doing them because I was having some wrist pain. But I'm gonna plan on bringing them back in March. Um,
Mm.
but but yeah, so like, if something's not working, then like, and they'll just tell me like what it would be, what do you need to like be able to get involved? Because like, it's gonna be slow going if it's just three of us. So
Right.
Right.
so all right. I'm gonna go eat. So
Well, I mean,
um
like he's bringing the move fast break things, except
yes.
he's bringing it to something that is the one place you really can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
we can do some of that here. So
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because what where Elon is, they're really good at breaking shit.
I
What
mean,
they're not good at is putting back together.
I think, yeah, it's like, I'm one of the things about that is like the idea is not to purposely break things. It's not to just be like wildly irresponsible. The whole idea behind that is to like like not be like judgmental if things are broken. Like if you
Mm,
do stuff, things are gonna break. Like that's the
right.
whole idea, and it's just like gone off in some like
yeah,
I mean, and I don't mean this like in like the Trumpian sense of the word, but like Silicon Valley, like the cult of the like moving fast is just like,
right,
sometimes you move too fast, guys. So,
yeah,
Yeah. It's all about knowing at least a little bit in regards to how things work. If you have a fundamental basis from which there is some level of understanding, you can figure that out.
well,
And particularly what you were just talking about, you know, the breakdown between CCHQ and what's been happening around that, and how many collaborative communities felt like they were slighted by that. Honestly, over the next 4 years, you might want to watch how HQ moves, because we are currently in a season of vanishing culture and cultural erasure. How do they respond to that? They may very well be looking at the very communities that they once slighted to figure out, okay, things have gotten to a level that's a little insane. So how do we get some of this?
oop, don't know what happened there. Hmm. Okay, that was weird. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Okay, we're still going. I don't know. I don't know what. Don't know what happened with that. We're still on the YouTube.